So, hello everybody, how is everyone doing? Before we start, let me just check if my volume is okay. If everything is working as it should. Give me just a moment, because the stream is lagging a little bit for some reason. Okay, I think it's good. Let me just lower the volume of this. Okay, so hello everybody, my name is Kirkral, since I've commentated, so hello, it has been 3 months, so I'm very excited to be doing this again. So, like I said before, we are going to be experiencing the PC F1 race in Austria. Austria was first held in 1963, but the current layout has been used from 1997, and they are very famous to provide very good action, even though it is very little. This is also one of the shortest tracks on the calendar, only spanning lap times nearly below 1 minute. Maybe if in the future the cars will be faster, maybe we can see a lap time below 1 minute. For example, Valtteri Bottas, his first podium in I think 2014. Or Williams, favorable moments is in 2020 when it was the opening race after the we're not gonna talk about, but yes, this race is always one to look out for in the world of Formula 1, because it is always exciting to watch, because it's always so close between everyone. You will always see about 10 drivers being separated by only a tenth or two, so it does provide a lot of good action. But yeah, we are very nearly going to be going into the race, so let me just switch the screens. You can also tell me in chat if the volume is okay, if everything is okay. But by the looks of it, the stream is stuttering a little bit, which I don't know why. Because it should be all good. But by the looks of it, I'm not heard too good. I need to up my volume a little bit. Okay, maybe it's gonna be good now. Give me just a moment to figure stuff out. Okay. Maybe if I do this as well. Give me a second. Okay. Everything should be good now, I hope, at least. It like I said, it has been a while since I've commentated, so I need to prepare everything, and I also installed new Windows, so everything I had before has been deleted, and I had to prepare everything again, and I honestly forgot how to stream. But it's gonna be fine. As we are going into the race, so like always we have a 18-minute qualifying session, which is going to set the grid for the race. The race is of course 50%, and yeah. The tires that are going to be used are the softest compounds, the C3, C4 and C5. So our drivers do have a lot of options to choose from. They are also going to have one medium set in the qualifying session if they want to use it. If not, it is going to be prepared for the race. But yeah. Like I said before, please tell me in chat if I'm heard well, or if I need to up the volume of myself or the game, probably. So if you can tell me in chat, that would be very much appreciated. And of course, I hope you do enjoy today's commentary and the action that we're going to provide. Like I said before, we are going into qualifying. We are just waiting for people to ready up, and we are going to go away. Austria is also pretty known to have wet weather races. We saw last time, or actually yesterday in PC F2, we also had a wet race. It was actually changeable conditions, starting from dry to inters. So it's gonna be interesting to see what we're gonna have today for PC F1. but yes, it is loading quite long. And there we go. We do see some clouds in the air, so I think we are not too far from some rain if it does come. So we are going to have to be mindful of that. But yeah, as we wait for our drivers to put on their setups and their strategies, let's just say a few quick moments. I would just like to say thank you to our partners, Great Finder, Boldomania, Discord, and JR Designs for making this stream possible. We are very thankful for the partnership. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. There is also our website if you want to be in tune with maybe the previous seasons, if you want to check the standings of how things are going right now in PCF2, in PCF1, for example. You can also support us and donate on Patreon, or just donate as usual. And if you do, it is very much appreciated. Also, leave a like if you enjoy and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoy any of the action that you're seeing so far and you want to be a part of it, there is a link in the description for the official Discord the official Discord server, where you can join and apply to race. Of course, if you don't want to race, you can just apply to be a helper. You can steward and whatnot. You can also commentate like I'm doing right now. Everything is in the description. But let's go on board with Ryan Grob, who is going to be the first guy to set a lap for today's qualifying session in the McLaren. He was very close to win the race last time in the Netherlands, but unfortunately was cut off by the safety car, if I remember correctly. But we are going to be on board with him as he now approaches the final corner, lifting off a little bit to make a gap. But as he crosses the finish line, he is starting. So we go on into turn 1. The most optimal gear here is gear 5 to give you the most traction. And it's actually a very difficult corner. If you touch too much of the curb, your car will just slide out, so you really have to be careful as we go now into turn 3. One of the most difficult corners on the track, as there is a lot of camber on the inside line, so you want to take a much wider line in that corner. As we see, he is getting some slipstream from the AlphaTauri. As we go into turn 4, also a very difficult corner. You can very easily lock up. The most optimal gear, of course, gear 4 and 5. Also be careful on the exit, because there's a little bump which can also unsettle your car. Turns 6, 7 and 8 in sectors 2 and 3, very difficult as well. You don't want to touch the curbs on the inside line, because you will just spin the car around and probably lose a lot of time. Now going into the final 2 corners, the most optimal gear is 6th gear, and these are very fast-paced corners, but be careful because it is very easy to invalidate, as we see Ryan Grob setting a lap time of a 1:04.482, which is a very good banker lap for the McLaren, as Bilbas, Mills and Pavlovic also cross the line, but unfortunately they are not close to the McLaren. But we also see Jonathan Voss in the Ferrari setting the provisional pole lap time of a 1:04.450, which is a very good lap time, but is already beaten by Gottschalk in the Alpine, only faster by 39 thousandths of a second. So you can already see here the grid is very close. We also saw yesterday in PCF2 the top 10 was only separated by 2 tenths. So that is the action that this track provides. Basically esports level gaps, you can say it like that. As we see some more people crossing the finish line with a AlphaTauri of Sprogis. I'm also sorry if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong. These names are very new to me. I've never seen a lot of these names in PCF1, so I am gonna have a little bit of difficulties pronouncing them. But the AlphaTauri of Sprogis set the provisional lap time, but is easily beaten by the Alfa Romeo of Drake Dempsey with a 1:04.2. Let me just up the game volume a little bit, because I see it's a little bit too quiet. Hopefully this is gonna be good enough. And I think I'm a bit too quiet. Give me a second. Give me just a moment. I'm just gonna put a little bit of gain. Hopefully that's gonna be enough. Okay. Hopefully this is gonna be good enough. So, where were we? Let's see. We see some more people crossing the finish line. Marvin Murr in the Haas, taking a very nice line in the final corner. Let's see what lap time this is going to be from the Haas. It is a 104.461. 2/10 of pole position, but still a pretty good lap time. Not too bad. We know Marvin Murray is pretty fast, but he's prone to mistakes, so if he wants to get a good position in the race, he needs to optimize that and be very careful. Let's see, we also have Chevalier, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in the Mercedes, also on a fast lap, as well as Grand just right in front of him. Let's go on board with Grand, who is lifting off, so he is not gonna finish that one, so let's just go back to the Mercedes. Also a new driver, I think. Like, a lot of these drivers are new. I don't know any of these drivers, so it is gonna be very nice to see where their pace is compared to already known drivers with Jake Dempsey, of course our champion Tony Ritchie, also Foss, Murr, Ryan Grob. Like, a lot of these names are very fast here, so let's see how they are going to fare. With Chevalier just going to the final corner now, across the finish line with a 104.6, puts him in P9 ahead of his teammate Lucas McGinty in the other Mercedes, who is the reserve, the PC2 racer reserving for today. But let's see, who else is on a lap? I think Tim Bayer is on a lap, crossing the finish line, 104.5. I think he does improve, but he doesn't go anywhere. Or he just started his lap. Yeah, he just started his lap. Let's go on board with him. We were on board with him in the beginning. Let's see if he's going to be able to improve. Currently 71 thousandths of a second down on his previous lap time, so not improving, and he already backed out of that lap. So he was not confident that he could gain any more time. Which is very unfortunate, but of course there is still a lot of time left in the qualifying session. We also see that there are no longer clouds in the air, so it is gonna be sunny for the rest of the race. And yeah, his teammate also behind, I think, made a mistake going into turn 3, so he also backed out of that one. So yeah, not a lot of people out on track as of this moment. So we are just going to be waiting for that, as I think Wagner, one of the 3 that haven't had lap time yet, along with Van Helden and Grard, yes, Grard. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, with Grard, who haven't had lap time yet, but we see a purple sector 1 from the Alfa Romeo driver, of course the teammate of Jake Dempsey, one of the fastest drivers here, also esports driver. But let's see if he is anywhere near the pace of his teammate, but as he said the fastest sector 1, maybe he does have the pace, as he does run a little bit wide, doesn't take as much of the inside line as I think he should. Going into the end of sector 2, but he took a very nice line going into turn 8. Let's see how he handles the final 2 corners. Very nice, but I think he got a little bit of a slower exit in the final corner, and this lap time is going to be a 104.597. Only just puts himself into P9, but if he improved by 20 thousandths, he would be in P8. So you can already see here the grid is very close, from P1 to P12, only separated by 5 tenths, and I really hope that we're gonna have a good race on our hands for today. Mitch, if I could pinch you, I would, but you're not close, so I'm just gonna do a imaginary pinch. And yes, I am back after a 3-month hiatus, but this is only a one-time appearance. I don't think I'm gonna be commentating for any other race, only if Avoy is gonna be unavailable, because I'm not the main commentator anymore. So yeah, if Avoy is gonna be unavailable, then I'm gonna be taking over, but that is not gonna be common, so don't hope for it. As we see Quil Pavlakovic being the first retiree of the session as he crashes into the pit entry. I don't even know how you can do that. How did that even happen? How? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, as we're on board with Robertson finishing his lap, let me check a few things. Okay, it seems to be everything good. The stream is good. I am very happy about that. My volume is okay, so that is all good. As Robertson did cross the finish line 104.9, unfortunately only P15 for the Aston Martin driver, but like I said before, there is still time for improvement. As I think we did see Bill Bass crossing the finish line, of course the Season 7 championship contender with Tuka Raikkola, but unfortunately missed out in the final few races on the championship. But looks like his pace has not gone away since then, because in Season 8 he was also doing very well, and it seems that in Season 9 he's also doing very well, but the Ferrari luck is stabbing them in the back. They are retiring quite a lot and making a lot of mistakes, which they need to figure out as soon as possible if they want to be high in the standings. But let's see here, we can go on board with Gottschalk, who is just about to cross the finish line to start his lap, and we can also see Sprogis improving in Sector 1 by 8 thousandths of a second. He needs to improve a little bit more if he wants to challenge for pole position, or at least for second place. He needs to improve at least 1/10. So let's see if he's gonna be able to do that in the middle sector, and yes he does! He is up by 1/10, and let's hope that he doesn't lose that time in Sector 3, as we are still on board with him. Takes a very nice line into the final two corners, taking as much curb as possible at the exit, and this lap time is going to be a 104.291, 1/1000th of a second ahead of his teammate Tony Ritchie. So that is very nice to see that both of the AlphaTauris are very close. I think they're gonna be strong contenders in the championship for the constructors. As let's go on board with his teammate Tony Ritchie. Let's see if he's gonna be able to improve as he track extends a little bit at the exit and makes a mistake going into the penultimate corner, so he has to back out of that, and he is starting another lap, but he's not gonna have enough ERS to do one, so I think the best job for him now is to go into the pit lane, as he nearly crashes into the wall and nearly crashes his car. That was very close indeed, but he manages to save it. That was very close. You have to be careful not to do that. As we see Ryan Grob setting the provisional pole with a 104.264. Very good lap time from the McLaren. Of course, remaining or saying that his pace has not gone anywhere since last time when he was battling for the win along with Jake Dempsey. So I think we're gonna see another battle between these two, but you can see the gap between the top four. It is literally nothing. So I think anyone can challenge for pole. It's only if they are going to be as aggressive as they can in every single corner, and if they're gonna take all the necessary measures to get pole position. Of course, you do get a additional point for pole position if you are first, but it is only 1 point. And if you're new to Formula 1, how points are awarded? They are awarded from P1 to P10 as follows: 25, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1. You also get an additional point for the fastest lap, and in Ero there is actually a rule that you get the fastest lap point even if you are outside the top 10. So anyone, anywhere can just put on new tires and get an extra point if they are not in the points. As we see Lucas McGinty crossing the finish line with a 104.864, puts him in P15. Not the best place to be, but as I said before, Austria is really close, so you cannot really find time anywhere, and if you do, it is gonna give you a lot of places to improve on the grid, but you can see even with a big improvement you cannot do anything about it. And with a grid as close as PC F1, where everyone is so freaking fast, there is literally nothing you can do about it. But for a PC F2 driver, he's been doing pretty well actually in the last few races. Doing well, getting points in the Netherlands and Spain. I think he's been doing pretty well, as we see Nilsson retiring, as McGinty was improving by 1/10, but he does go into the pit lane. Let's see if he's gonna have enough time to put on new tires and go for another one. Let's see who is out. Because it's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left until the end of the session, we are gonna see a lot of people heading out on track to set their final laps of the qualifying session, and this is going to be the time when the track is at its best. So the track evolution is very high in Austria, so you're gonna see lap times improving from the beginning to the end of the session by around a few tenths. So track evolution is very high, and they have to keep that in mind. Keep away from dirty air, leave each other as much space, and that is going to be good to set a good qualifying lap for these final 2 minutes. But let's go on board with Grard in the Alpine for his final run, as he runs wide, hugs the sausage group at the exit, and he unfortunately has to back out of that lap. But he will have enough time to set another one, so let's hope that his next one is going to be way better than this one. Let's see who else is on a lap. I think Wagner is about to start one, and Arjun Bilbas is actually on another one. Let's see what he's gonna be able to do. Also, sorry, I'm a little bit sick, so you're probably gonna hear a little bit of coughing from time to time. But Bilbas does improve by 1.5 tenths, only puts himself into P8 ahead of his teammate, who is on the outlap. But I don't think he is gonna be happy about that one, because he could have been much higher in the grid. Let's see, Drake Dempsey also is gonna start his lap. Let's go on board with him, and let's see if he's gonna be able to challenge for pole position. Going into turn 1, takes a very nice line. Oh, that was beautiful from the Alfa Romeo driver. Let's see if he's gonna be able to take those lines in the next corners as well. And you can see, like, only a nice line can give you an improvement of 70 thousandths of a second, like a tenth, which is massive in Austria. But his turn 3 wasn't too great, as he ran wide, and it was very slow. Going into turn 4, also not the best line. I think that lost him a couple of thousandths. But going into turns 5, 6, 7 and 8, he is doing very well, improving by 2 tenths somehow, even with those shady lines. So let's see if he's going to manage to do the final 2 corners. If he messes up here, he is not gonna have another chance. And I think he is gonna be able to do it, even though his final corner was a little bit too slow. But he is gonna cross the finish line and nearly go below 104s with a 104.022. So currently the provisional pole lap time. Let's see if Ryan Grob is going to be able to beat that, as well as Sprogis, who crossed the finish line, but unfortunately he invalidated his lap. We also see the Mercedes of Lucas McGinty crossing the finish line, and he does improve to P13. Unlucky 14, unlucky 13. So let's hope that that doesn't work for him, as Ryan Grob does cross the finish line, but only improves by a little bit. He is not gonna take pole position from Drake Dempsey, unfortunately. So as we are waiting for the final few guys to cross the finish line, I think it is going to be Drake Dempsey who is going to be on pole position. I don't think anyone's gonna be able to beat that. That is a very impressive lap time from the Alfa Romeo driver. And as we watch on board with Luke Mills getting blocked by a Ferrari, even though he didn't validate, he is the last guy to cross the finish line slash go into the pit lane. So, oh, he goes very wide. That's nice to see. So, qualifying session is over. Jake Dempsey does take pole position for the Austrian Grand Prix in PC F1, while Ryan Grob follows him right behind, only 2 tenths off. That might not seem like a big gap, but in Austria, trust me, that is huge, with Sprogis taking P3 for the Latvian driver. Tony Richay, his teammate, is gonna be in P4, running out the second row of the grid. Team Bayer and Gottschalk in P5 and 6. Jonathan Voss and Marvin Murr securing the 4th row. Bilbas and Wagner securing the 5th row. Chevalier and Hesch in P11, P12. McGinty in P13. Luke Mills in P14. Grard in P15 with Lutsinski rounding out the 8th row. Nilsson and Robertson in P17 and 18 with Pavlakovic and Van Helden, unfortunately, P19 and P20 rounding out the final row of the grid. Of course, if you are in the uneven numbers, so if you are starting 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th, 15th, 17th, and 19th, you are gonna have the outside line going into turn 1, which is probably going to be the most recommended line, because you are going to have a better chance of avoiding any incidents going into turn 1, as we see the pit crew T-posing. Well, that's nice. T-poses are always welcome. Anyways, we are just waiting for our drivers to set their strategy for the race. Of course, the optimal strategy is, of course, the medium to hard or hard to medium. You can also go with a medium to soft, because the tires don't wear out that much. You are actually good with that if you do want to do that, but you are gonna be near the puncture zone, so be careful. So, we have 15 minutes. I'm sorry. We have 15 seconds left until we start. I think the formation lap is turned off, so let's go and let's start the Austrian Grand Prix in PC F1. Let's hope for a good one. And yeah, like I said before, we don't have the formation lap, and it is 5 red lights. And we are on the way for the Austrian Grand Prix in PCF1, and looks like Jake Dempsey has actually gotten a really good start, and Sprogus is gonna take the outside line going into turn 1 side by side with Ryan Grob. Is he gonna overtake him? Yes, he is! And he does take that position very nicely indeed. We see a lot of people behind squabbling, going side by side, but Jake Dempsey does take the lead. We see the Alfa Romeo of Wagner and Bilbas going side by side with 3 wide behind, as there was contact between, I think, Sprogus and Ryan Grob going into turn 3. That is gonna mess the McLaren's race hugely, because he has to make up that ground back again, as the leaders have already closed a second to the cars ahead, with Tim Bayer going down the inside of Marvin Murr, as Marvin Murr has improved massively from the start, as I think he started in like P5 or P6 going into P3. That is very good for the Haas, as Tim Bayer is now under pressure from Arjen Bilbas going into the final 2 corners. But unfortunately, the straight line speed of the Ferrari seems to not be there to challenge, as we see Gottschalk also making a mistake in turn 8, or after turn 8 actually, my mistake. And unfortunately, he is going to be back down by that. And looks like, by the looks of it, everyone has taken it pretty safely. Not too many incidents happening at all. We see a lot of people putting cards, so they are sure that there are not going to be any safety cars early on in the race, as Sprogus is keeping close to Jake Dempsey, but because of the dirty air he cannot really get close to him. But let's see behind, with Lucas McGinty and Chevalier actually improving very hugely in this start, going from P13 and 15 to P9 and P10 in the points, as we also see Ryan Grob and Wagner going side by side into turn 6. This is gonna be a huge one, but they are leaving each other as much space as they possibly can, and that was a clean overtake by Ryan Grob, who is looking to come back after the early collision into turn 3. So he is doing the job, he is doing very well so far, as let's go back to the front runners, with Sprogus improving by 1/10, but it is Marvin Murr who sets the fast lap so far in the race with a 107.634, and of course, if you don't know, DRS is enabled the 3rd lap, so let's see if DRS is gonna help the AlphaTauri driver get close to the Alfa Romeo. But looks like Jake Dempsey has really good straight line speed. He's not even using any ERS. So it's just impressive. He is running a very low downforce setup, losing a little bit in the corners, but in the straights, where it is most important, he is just rapid, and that is very nice to see, as he still retains his lead. As let's see. So far, everyone is just in this huge DRS train spanning from P1 to P17. I don't think we're gonna see many overtakes happening, probably until the pit stop phases, which are gonna be probably around lap 20, because a lot of people are on hards, probably around lap 20, and the medium runners probably around lap 16. But of course, all depends on what strategies people want to choose. Let's go on board with Lucas McGinty as he is closing in to the Alfa Romeo of Wagonar, as we see a lot of fastest laps being spread around the grid, with Tony Ritchie taking the fastest lap. Of course, also being caught in an early collision, Tony Ritchie, but McGinty has taken the advantage of Wagonar's mistake going into turn 1, and he is going to overtake him even before the corner, which was a very easy overtake for the Mercedes. But Wagonar tried to go for a move on the inside, but he wasn't close at all. As we also see down, or actually up the grid, people going side by side with Tim Beyer and Marvin Murr going side by side into turn 4. Tim Beyer has to take the outside line. He is on worse tires than Murr, but looks like he actually got a better exit than the Haas, as behind we also see Tony Ritchie and Bill Bass going side by side, and still going side by side into turn 8. This is gonna be a close one, but of course these are professional drivers, they know how to race side by side, and I don't think they want to go side by side here. This is gonna be very sketchy, but still leaving each other space. Nearly Tony Ritchie putting him off the track, as he actually does in the final corner in turn 10, which is not good, as Ryan Grob is going to take that chance that he has going around the outside of the Ferrari. Is he actually going to take it, as he misses the traction a little bit at the exit, and unfortunately is not going to take the move, but he is still going to try in turn 3. He has the outside line, which is the better line. You can see the traction difference from the inside to the outside line, and they still go side by side going into turn 4. Bill Bass cannot get enough of it, going side by side with Tony Ritchie, and now going side by side with Ryan Grob. Oh, and there was contact between Ryan Grob and Bill Bass, and that spun Ryan Grob round, but that was his own mistake, as he got really early on the traction and just lost the car. Very unfortunate for Ryan Grob. Looks like this race is not going well for him. With early contact, and of course now with that contact as well. He's gonna have to hope for a safety car if he wants to challenge back for points. But let's go a little bit back to leaders. Jake Dempsey is still leading 4 tenths ahead of Tim Beyer, and you can still see that he's not using any ERS, and he's not losing any time. Even when people behind have the DRS. So, like I said before, running a very low downforce setup, just saving DRS probably until the pit stop phases do start. So, I guess that's the time we're gonna see Jake Dempsey pushing as much as possible to extend the gap. Or maybe when there's gonna be a safety car, we still don't know. But so far, we have seen really clean racing across the whole grid, and that is what you want to see in the pinnacle of racing here in F1. As we see yellow flags for Quil Pavlakovic, I think that is, just entering sector 3. I don't know if he made contact or if he was involved in a collision with anyone, but that is of course unfortunate for the Williams, as the other Williams of Hesh, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, is only just in the points in P10. Why is everyone Aryan's backboard? I don't know. But looks like Aryan is having a very difficult job, as he's now gonna be very nearly under pressure by Lucas McGinty as well. As Tony Ritchie got a very bad exit off of turn 3. He is under pressure from Bill Bass from the Ferrari, but he is nowhere close to make the move. Of course, Bill Bass has mediums, the C4 compound, which is the faster than the C3 of the hards, so he does have the tire advantage, but you can see that in Austria the tire advantage doesn't really do much, because it's only made out of straights. Like there are 3 DRS zones. Oh, Marvin Burr went wide. Loses 3 positions, going from P3 to P6. And also under pressure with Lucas McGinty. Is he gonna go for that move? No, he only just backs out of it. I think that was very smart. You don't want to go side by side into turn 1 because there is not really any places to leave space. And you're just in for a disaster. But very unfortunate for Marvin Burr, as he made that mistake. He is gonna hope that he can climb back the ropes back to the podium positions. And while we're talking about that, Jake Dempsey is still leading today's race on those hards, 5/10 behind Tim Bayer, and Sprogis is in P3. AlphaTauri is looking very good for securing a lot of points, as Nilsson retires in the pit lane. Very unfortunate for the Red Bull, but he was involved in very early incidents and of course making mistakes himself, so I don't think he is confident that there are gonna be any safety cars. And I don't even think that there are gonna be any safety cars, because this is very clean across the whole grid. As Sprogis does set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 107.327, a very nice lap time from the AlphaTauri driver, but I don't think that's gonna be enough because it's just way too close in Austria. You cannot really gain too much time. And you can see that people even with DRS cannot do anything about it, as Chevalier did want to go on the move on his teammate on the inside line of turn 3, but he backed out of it. It is of course interesting to see who is the fastest of the 2 Mercedes, and they are pretty equal actually. They are sharing the fastest laps of the race, and Lucas McGinty also being very close to setting the fastest lap. But you have to count that that is on mediums, while everyone else is on hards. Pavlakovic joined the lobby again. I didn't even realize that he was not in lobby. But wait, let me do this. The intervals are better. Okay. Let me check just the volume very quickly. Okay, it's good. Everything's good. I'm happy. Yay! Even with the 3 months of absence, I still know what I'm doing. Anyways, let's see. Jonathan Foss in the other Ferrari starting. Let's see. Oh, the wrong button. Starting in P7. Trying to make grounds. He is very close to overtaking the Williams of Hesh. Going into turn 4, he does have DRS, and he's using a little bit of DRS, but you can see Hitch is using all of his battery available. He almost doesn't even have any, so he is gonna have to do some DRS saving in the next few corners if he wants to still defend from the Ferrari. And I think this has been a very good race for the Mercedes drivers of McGinty and Chevalier. McGinty improved by 7 positions, starting from P13, now in P6. If he can remain here, that is gonna be very good, as we see contact with Wagonar, and I think it was a Williams of Hesh, because both of them were out. But Wagonar looks like was affected the most by that, as he is disqualified from the session by a unknown reason, as he blocks the racing line for Pavlakovic. As we do have battles, as Tony Ricci and Sprogis switch positions going into turn 3, and Tony Ricci is now going to try and challenge and get close to the leaders, but of course his ERS is non-existent compared to Tim Bayer and Jake Dempsey, who are on 85% ERS. So if he does want to challenge for more than just P3, he will have to do some saving. But you can see he is getting a lot in the corners, so he's just gonna have to stay close on the straight as well. So let's see if he's gonna be able to do that. As we are closing into the pit stop windows, we are on lap 11 of 36. Jake Dempsey is still leading today's race with Tim Bayer. Or Tim Bayer, I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Very close in P2, with Tony Ricci following right behind in P3, with Sprogis, the other AlphaTauri driver, in P4. Very close between the top 4. I think if I don't think any of these drivers can make a mistake, because if they do, their race is just gonna be ruined, and they're gonna lose everything that they worked for these last couple of laps. With Bilbas in P4 getting kind of under pressure from McGinty, because Bilbas doesn't have any DRS. He is a bit too far behind of Sprogis ahead, and McGinty is just carrying the Mercedes duo, also giving Chevalier DRS, so both of them can maybe try and make a move on the Mercedes. As we see people behind going too wide, side by side into turn 5, at turn 6, 7 and 8, and Marvin Murr was the benefit, he benefited the most out of that squabble between these four, and these battles are for points. Of course, Murr and Ryan in the points, P9 and P10, but this is going to be very close. I think we need to keep an eye out on this. Luke Mills and Hesh also very close to attack. But let's see if they're gonna get a good exit off of turn 1, and unfortunately Hesh doesn't. But let's see, Ryan Grob does have the ERS advantage to the Haas driver ahead of him, but the tire advantage he does not. But let's see if the McLaren will be able to do it, as we also see a squabble right ahead with Lucas McGinty and Bill Bass, who also go side by side into turn 4, with Marvin Murr and Ryan also going side by side. But let's keep an eye on this battle with Lucas McGinty going around the outside. Is he gonna be able to make this move stick? Bill Bass does leave him room, and he has to go around the outside again, and is he gonna be able to do it? And he does! He makes the move stick. What a move from the PCF2 driver. He was the championship leader, but unfortunately the PCF2 and the Xbox/Origin grids have been combined, so he does lose his lead. But you can see that he hasn't lost any of his pace, as he is doing wonders in PCF1. But I think he is going to be under pressure from Bilbas now, because Bilbas does have DRS, and is he going to be able to try and make a move into turn 3? He is going on the inside. Let's see if he's gonna leave room for the Ferrari driver. He does leave room, and I think Chevalier is also wanting to emerge in this battle, as these two still go side by side into turn 4. Is he gonna be 3 wide? It's gonna be 3 wide between the two Mercs and the Ferrari. This is not gonna end well, as they still go 3 wide going into turns 5 and 6. Jesus Christ, and unfortunately someone had to back out, and it was McGinty, but he still goes side by side with his teammate, and he nearly makes a mistake, pushes him wide, makes contact with Chevalier, but he does lose 2 positions to Bilbas and his teammate. And unfortunately for them, this battle has also put the other Ferrari driver of Jonathan Foss very close as well. So he is also gonna be wanting to overtake them as soon as possible. I think Bilbas is maybe just trying to back them out to slow them down, so Jonathan can also have a take. But this battle is not over, with Chevalier going down the inside of Bilbas once again, and just pushes him as wide as possible, trying to give his teammate McGinty also an opportunity to go for that move, but Chevalier doesn't have the DRS, and he does have to back out of that opportunity. But still, Jesus Christ, what a battle between these four. The 2 Mercs and 2 Ferraris. This is basically 2017 and 2018 all over again. As Lucas McGinty just closing in on his teammate. He's just riding close to the diffuser, but he does have to be careful to not make contact. As let's move a little bit away from this battle, as we also see people ahead getting closer and closer, as our leaders Dempsey and Tim Bayer are also going to have, I think, a battle, with Tim Bayer using his ERS and the DRS, and I think he is going to want to make a move on the Alfa Romeo driver. Drake Dempsey defending the inside line. Tim Bayer does have to take the longer route, and he doesn't leave any room, Drake Dempsey, and unfortunately he has to track extend, and he will get overtaken by Tony Ritchie as well, because Tim Bayer doesn't have any DRS, and that was a very, very good move from Tony Ritchie, as he just benefited from other people's mistakes and other people's battles. Very nice from Tony Ricci. Now Drake Dempsey is ahead of him. Let's see if our champion from Season 8 can challenge for the win. As we are on lap 16, pit windows are going to be open for the medium runners of Bill Bass, McGinty, Foss and Marvin Murr. So let's see if they're gonna go in the pit lane or are they gonna stay a little bit longer. Maybe do a optimal strat or a different strategy. Maybe go into softs to the end. And I don't think they are, with Lucas McGinty doing a undercut. He is the only one to go into the pit lane, and he will emerge in clean air. So I think he is making a really good choice here, because he's not gonna lose too much time trying to heat up his tires, and in clean air he can just pull away. But he is gonna be very close to the Aston Martin. Scratch that, he is not. But yeah, I think this is gonna prove very beneficial for the Mercedes. He is gonna have more tire wear at the end of the race compared to his teammate and the two Ferraris, but I think in the long run, or at least in this beginning, I think it is gonna be very good for his race for the remainder. Let's see if Bill Bass and Foss are going to go into the pit lane. Of course, both of them on mediums, and I don't think they want a double stack. So they do have to prioritize one or the other. I think Bill Bass is going to be the first one to go into the pit lane. And let's see if he is going to go... No, he is gonna stay out just a little bit longer. Or no, that's a very weird line going into the pit lane. Is that allowed? Don't you have to be like fully on the white line or inside the white line? I don't know. I'm just gonna leave that to any stewards if they are watching. And let's see here. Yeah, people just overtaking Bill Bass. And let's see if Lucas McGinty will overtake the Ferrari with the undercut. It is gonna be very close between the two. And I think he is just gonna be behind, but he will get the DRS for the second straight. So maybe he will actually have a move, because Bill Bass still has cold tires, and those hards are very hard, no pun intended, very hard to heat up. So maybe he will have an opportunity going into the second sector. But looks like he is just backing out of it, taking it safely. He doesn't want to make any contact. As the Sprokis gets a 3-second time penalty trying to go into the pit lane. Oh no, that's his teammate, Tony Ricci, going into the pit lane, which is very early for hard runners. But maybe he has a different strategy. We see Robertson also spinning in turn 8. Very unfortunate for the Aston Martin, as Aston Martin are not having the best races so far. And we see even more people going into the pit lane. And most of the hard runners as well go into the pit lane, which was actually quite surprising. For me at least. But we can see perhaps Lucas McGinty didn't overtake Bill Bass at the pit entry, but he does overtake Jonathan Foss. And let's see if he's gonna maybe try and go for the move into turn 3. No, he backs out of it. Let's see, maybe into turn 4, as this battle is gonna continue, and Chevalier is probably gonna go into the pit lane next. And unfortunately for McGinty, he is just not close enough to challenge for the move. As we see the leaders of the MC Team Bayer and Sprogis also going to the pit lane. And oh, there was big contact between Team Bayer and Sprogis, as Team Bayer gets a 5-second time penalty because of that, because of speeding in the pit lane, because of the contact. And now Sprogis has to change the front wing, which will lose him even more positions than he would have wanted. But that was very unfortunate for both of these drivers, but he did have to be a bit more careful, as even the Chevalier is nearly overtook him in the pit lane. And I think that's actually gonna be good for McGinty and Bill Bass, because they do overtake Sprogis. The only problem, Sprogis is on mediums, as Bill Bass and McGinty do go side by side into turn 3. McGinty takes the inside line while Bill Bass the outside. Bill Bass tries to do a switchback to the Mercedes, but that wasn't really close enough, as he's using all of his ERS as he has at his disposal, trying to take the outside line, not leaving too much space, but still racing as cleanly as possible. And they still go side by side, but McGinty decides to back out of it because he doesn't want to lose too much time to Sprockets behind. Team Bayer, Dempsey and Richie still within half a second, so Tony Richie leading somehow. I didn't see how they switched positions, but I don't know. Oh wait, but yeah, I actually did. He overtook him in the turn 3, if I remember correctly. As Ryan Grob takes the fast lap of the race, 1:06.4. As Team Bayer tries to go for a move on Jake Dempsey, they're gonna go 3 wide. As Jake Dempsey on the brakes himself, and all of them nearly make contact. As he does have to lose that position. As Team Bayer overtakes 2 people in one corner, takes the lead of the race. Very good for the McLaren, as he just took that opportunity. As we see behind Sproggis, McGinty and Bilbas going side by side as well into turn 4, very close, as Sproggis also does the same as Tim Bayer, also just overtaking 2 people in one corner, now going side by side with Bilbas into turn 6 and does overtake him. Jesus Christ, these guys are brave. I would never do that, no way. Even though I'm a 2 times champion in PC2, I would never do that. No way. I'm not that brave. Team Bayer takes the fast lap of the race. If that remains, he will get the fastest lap point. As he nearly makes a mistake, going at the exit of turn 1. That is gonna maybe bring Tony Ricci close and maybe try and overtake him into turn 3. He is gaining a lot of time to the McLaren, but he will not overtake him here, as he wants the DRS for this straight. But I don't think he will overtake him, as we see another yellow flag for the Aston Martin of Van Helden. So that is very unfortunate, but no safety cars at the moment, as we do see a big battle in the battle of the best of the rest, going from P4 to P8. Unfortunately, McGinty not gaining a lot from this. But let's see here. We do have a little bit of penalties with speaking of penalties, Van Helden getting a 1 3-second time penalty. So Team Bayer unfortunately has those 5 seconds of penalties because of contact with Sproggis going into the pit lane, but that could get removed if he doesn't serve it in the pit lane. Sproggis does have 3 seconds, so if he doesn't if he's not gonna be able to move away from these guys, he is gonna lose a lot of positions. With let's do that a little bit later with Chevalier and Bilbas going side by side. Bilbas overtaking him for that position. Oh, and makes a mistake at the exit of turn 3, so Chevalier is still gonna remain in P5. Going forth with the penalties, Marvin Murr 3 seconds, Hesh 3 seconds, Robertson 3 seconds, and Van Helden 9 seconds. In Austria it is very easy to get penalties because the stewards like to give them, even give two warnings in one corner. Yes, I got that here yesterday because the game is stupid. As we see Van Helden again making a spin into turn 1. What a showman! He's just trying to show up his moves in the F1 car, while he also needs to show his pace, which he is not really showing so far. As he does let the leaders through, as they do battle into turn 3. They are very close to one another. Tony Ricci using a little bit of ERS and using it a bit more to try and take the lead from Tim Bayer. Is he gonna be able to do it? Takes the inside line, while Jake Dempsey and Tony also go side by side into turn 4, but Jake Dempsey does have to back down, back out of it. He will have to wait a little bit longer for that move, and let's go a little bit back to the top 12, as Luke Mills gets the 3-second time penalty as well, and Gottschalk was very close to make a move on the Williams of Hesh, but he unfortunately couldn't. And Van Helden, I think that is going into the pit lane. Ah yes, clean racing in F1, that's some F3 driving. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that these drivers are taking it so clean. I didn't expect it at all. I was expecting a lot of carnage, but seeing that a lot of these drivers do have a lot of experience and they are one of the fastest drivers in the world, every single one of these, I could honestly expect nothing less than nice, clean driving. And we got that, and I'm very happy about it. That is what you want to see from the highest division in PC and PS. As Hedge had another move to try and get back at Gottschalk, but unfortunately he was a bit too far behind. I dare you to do a shui after this race. You're gonna... that's probably going to Tim Bayer, Tony Ritchie and Jake Dempsey. Zosh Shmigovsky has left the session. Interesting, I didn't even know that he was in! Interesting. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this battle at the front again, as Tony Ritchie does have another opportunity to go on a move on Tim Bayer for the lead, as he nearly makes contact and they nearly go 3 wide going into turn 3, as Seche gets 3-second time penalty behind. But we also see a move behind with Chevalier overtaking Sproges for P4. Very good move for the Mercedes, but Tim Bayer has lost a position to both of these drivers. Jake Dempsey now trying to go around the outside and takes a very good exit off of turn 4, but Tony Ritchie using a lot of his ERS trying to go around the outside into turn 5. And is he gonna be able to make it stick? Jake Dempsey not leaving any space around the outside, and unfortunately that's gonna come to backstab him because Tony Ritchie has overtaken him and he is under pressure from the McLaren of Tim Bayer, but he does wanna go on the move down the inside, but he doesn't make it stick. You never can make it stick on the inside there. You're just giving yourself a death wish if you wanna go side by side into turns 9 and 8, as Chevalier gets a 3-second time penalty as well, as Tim Bayer nearly makes contact with Jake Dempsey, as Marvin Murr gets 3-second time penalty. Dempsey doesn't have any ERS left compared to Tony Ritchie, who has 50. I think this is gonna be a good opportunity for Ritchie to move away from this pack, as Jake Dempsey does have the DRS, but you can see that he's not getting any time. So this is very good for Tony. Let's see if he can just pull away from this battle, as right behind Chevalier and Sproges are also having a nice one, a nice little squabble, both on the medium tires, both 7 laps old, both with 3-second time penalties, and both are going to lose a lot of time because of those penalties after the race. And speaking of the end of the race, we are on lap 27 of 36. Tony Ritchie is now leading the race, but is under pressure from Jake Dempsey and Tim Bayer, who are still giving a hard time to the AlphaTauri driver for the win of the race. Chevalier in P4, Sproges in P5, both sharing 3-second time penalties with Bilbas and Foss, the 2 Ferraris, right behind in P6 and P7. Ryan Grob also has a penalty, I'm not sure for what, with Lucas Biginti a second behind of Ryan Grob, losing a little bit of pace. Looks like those hards are not good, as Sproges does overtake Chevalier for P4, but Chevalier did brake a little bit early to try and get a DRS, and he wanted to get back at him in turn 4, but you can see that the straight line speed is not there for the Mercedes driver. The Mercedes power unit not really doing wonders now, even though these are equal cars, but I don't care. But yeah, we are also seeing a very nice battle behind, with Gottschalk, Murr and Hesch battling for the final points pay position, as scratch that, Murr has done a 360, probably touching the inside curb, which I said that you don't want to touch as your car is gonna spin, and you just saw that now with Marvin Murr, and he is gonna go into the pit lane once again, as he was actually on softs. I didn't even see that he was on softs. What kind of strategy is he going? He is going for an aggressive strategy, which is never gonna work. Like, this strategy could work if this was a 100% race, but for a 50% race you are never gonna make that work, because those softs are already dead in 3 laps. As Lucas Biginti unfortunately leaves the session. He also had those troubles yesterday in PCF2, and that is unfortunately going to move him outside the points if he doesn't rejoin back as quickly as possible. And Van Halden also goes out of the session. Okie dokie. We got a few more penalties added to some of our drivers, so let's see what they have while we are waiting for the leaders to battle. Tim Bayer 5 seconds, Progress 3, Chevalier 3, Van Gorp 3, Hesh 6, Mills 3, and Robertson 6. So, not too shabby, but I was only expecting a little bit more, but I was well surprised. And Lucas McGinty has joined back into the lobby, but you can see that he's in P12, losing everything he fought for, which is very unfortunate for the Mercedes, as he was doing very well to get himself in very good points. And as we're talking about very good points, we are still seeing a very close battle between Sprogges Chevalier, Bilbas Foss, and Ryan Grob from P4 to P8. Ryan Grob trying to maximize after his mistakes in the beginning, and oh, that is a mistake from Sprogges. He is gonna be, oh no, wait, is he out of the session? Oh no, he's not. He was overtaken by Chevalier going into turn 9 because of that mistake, but he will have the arrest for the next straight, so let's see if he's gonna be able to take that back, as there is only 5 laps remaining until the end of the race. So let's see if he's gonna be able to do it. Of course, opening the arrest for this straight. We also see a battle behind with Ryan Groper trying to close in on the Ferrari of Jonathan Foss, but because this is a huge DRS train spanning with 5 cars, I don't think he's gonna have any easy overtakes, with him being very close to Jonathan Foss, really close to his diffuser and his gearbox, but still not close to do anything. We also see the leaders closing into one another, but I think Tony Ritchie is gonna have the chance here. But you can see that Dempsey and Tim Bayer have actually saved their ERS quite a bit, which in Austria it's not really you cannot really save too much of ERS. It's very hard to do that, but you can see that these are professionals and they know what they're doing. And I still don't know who's gonna win today's race, because it's so close at the top. Here's getting another 3-second time penalty. And let's see if Sprogges is gonna be able to make a move finally for, on the Mercedes into turn 3. He backs out of it. Does the same that Chevalier did a few laps before, just trying to get the arrest, as Grard also gets a 3-second time penalty. Yes. So while we are watching this, let's check the changeable conditions. Not changeable conditions, the positions. So the most positions gained is by Chevalier, improving 7 positions starting from P11, and I honestly have to say he has driven a fantastic race, but unfortunately this penalty will not be good after it gets applied at the end of the race. But let's see if he's gonna be able to remove it. And the most positions lost is of course by Wagner, who did retire, but from non-retirees it's by Ryan Grob being involved in the early lap incidents, contact I think between himself and Tony Ritchie, and unfortunately he made a few more mistakes, putting himself into P8 and also getting a penalty. Very unfortunate for the McLaren, but I probably jinxed him in qualifying because I said that he was close to winning in the Netherlands, and then I think I just jinxed him because I said that he would have a good chance as well, as he tried to go side by side with Jonathan Foss in turn 4, but he unfortunately had to back out of it. He didn't have a good exit. Skul Pavlakovic takes the fast lap of the race, but that is not too far off of others, as Sprogges gets another 3 seconds. But I think that fastest lap could get beaten very easily by the front runners of Ritchie, Dempsey and Tim Bayer, because I think they are gonna push a lot. with Sproges pitting. Why is he pitting? And he now also gets a 5-second time penalty. What is he doing? Why did he retire? He was in a good position to get good points. I mean, at least like 2 or 4 points. Maybe he got damage or something. I really am just confused right now. I honestly don't know why he retired. As we see Hesh spinning and making contact with the wall after turn 1. I mean, he only had like 6 seconds of penalties, and that still could have gotten him in the points. He would be like P8. He would be P8 or P9. It's a glitch. Ah, okay. If it's a glitch, then okay, but I'm still confused why he DNF'd. Like I said, he would be in very good points. Like, even 1 point is good for the championship. 1 point can make a huge difference. And he just retires like that. Interesting. Anyways, we are on the final 2 laps of the race, and we see Tony and Dempsey nearly making contact going into turn 3. That was very close indeed, but because of that, Jake Dempsey got a very bad exit, making contact with Tim Bayer, not leaving him any space. But now Tim Bayer, and they're gonna go 3 wide. They all make contact as Tim Bayer has been spun around, as Dempsey is still making contact with Tony Ritchie. Oh, carnage happening on the penultimate lap of this race. As Bayer is gonna lose a lot because of this, but I have no words. They were taking it so cleanly the whole race, and now just Jake Dempsey decides to go for impossible moves, which were definitely gonna cause carnage. But now we're on the final lap of the race, and we are still watching a fight between Jake Dempsey and Tony Ritchie. Who's gonna take the win of these two? Jake Dempsey using the DRS and DRS as much as he can. Both of them don't have any, as Jake Dempsey is gonna go down the inside. He a little bit outbrakes himself, which gives Tony Ritchie opportunity to do a switchback, but Dempsey very quickly closes the door for that switchback, as I think Tony Ritchie is not gonna have any more opportunities, as he goes down the inside, makes a huge dive bomb to the Alfa Romeo, and somehow Jake Dempsey avoids that. What is happening here? What is this? And I think this is gonna be it. I think Jake Dempsey is gonna take the win, but I think we are gonna see some post-race penalties getting applied for that collision with Tim Bayer and Tony Ritchie and Dempsey. But if we're not looking at that, Jake Dempsey crosses the finish line and wins the Austrian Grand Prix, with Tony Ritchie getting 2nd place and Tim Bayer getting 5th. But unfortunately, because of the 5-second time penalty, Bill Bass is going to take P3, with Jonathan Foss spinning at the final corner, loses a lot of places, with Chevalier getting P4, Tim Bayer P5, Ryan Gropp P6, Gottschalk P7, Jonathan Foss, like I said, spun in the final corner, P8 for the Ferrari, Luke Mills P9, and McGinty takes the final points paying position of today's race with 1 point, which is very unfortunate for the Mercedes, as he was looking very, very well to secure even more points, but connection issues were not good for him. A lot of connection issues with Gerard taking P11, and we're gonna continue this afterwards when we have the whole grid again. But what were those final few laps? Jesus Christ. As Lucas McGinty gets driver of the day, I would agree he did have the pace, but honestly I would give that to his teammate, starting from P11 to P4, nearly on the podium. I think he just did impressively well. So my driver of the day is Chevalier, but you can see Jake Dempsey on the top step of the podium, which is probably gonna get removed if we are gonna see some post-race penalties after those incidents. But of course we cannot say for sure if it is gonna be reported. but what we can be sure is that he is celebrating a lot here for the win. Even though Tony Ricci seems happy, I think he's just furious after that. And there we go, that was the Austrian Grand Prix. Let me just take the race director really quickly, and you can see a lot of a lot of warnings. There we go. So, like I said before, Jake Dempsey has taken the win of the Austrian Grand Prix, Tony Ricci P2, and Bill Bass rounds out the podium. I have to be quick. Chevalier P4, Tim Bayer P5, Ryan Grove P6, Gottschalk P7, Foss P8, Luke Mills P9, Lucas McGinty P10, Garrett P11, Robertson P12, Hesh P13, Pavlokovic P14, Sprockes P15, Moore P16, Van Helden P17, Wagner P18, Nielsen P19, and Lutsinski in P20. Honestly, for a stutterer, that was very nice. I didn't stutter once. This is a good practice. And Pavlokovic also takes the fastest lap of the race. He is gonna get an additional point added to his name, even though he was outside the points. I honestly just have no words for that. What to say? What to say for this final few laps? I am speechless. I'm probably not gonna do any interviews. I'm really bad at those. I don't even have any questions prepared. So I need to do that for next time. So yeah. I think we can just run this off then. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this race as much as I did, and I hope that you have enjoyed the commentary. Before you leave, if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, it would be very much appreciated. We appreciate every single one. I would just like to say thank you to our partners, Gridfinder, Bolidamania, Discord, and JR Designs, because this could not have been possible without them. You can also support us on Patreon and donate in the links in the description. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to follow up on the latest news for the driver transfers, all of the positions of every other tier, and basically just updates on anything on those platforms. And like I said before, if you enjoy the action, you can also join the official Discord channel and apply to race. And if you don't want to race, you can maybe apply as a helper. You can commentate, helper, be a steward, maybe be a journalist, you can be whatever. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can just join and talk to our people. Our community is very friendly, and you can just chat with everyone. And I think I said everything. I think so. So, I'm gonna say this once more. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really do hope that you have enjoyed today's commentary and the race, and I hope to see you sometime again, which you probably won't hear from me for another few weeks probably, because I'm not the main commentator anymore for PC F1 Voyes. But I will see you next time in PC F1, whenever that is. See you then, and have a good night.